Follow Famous and Gravy on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Famous and Gravy early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Okay, most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions. But get this, the real number is closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars a year, half of which you've probably forgotten about. Thankfully, Rocket Money can find a bunch of subscriptions you've forgotten all about and then help you cancel the ones you don't want anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Wondery. That's rocketmoney.com/Wondery, rocketmoney.com/Wondery.
Ready to pop the question and take advantage of 30% off? The jewelers at BlueNile.com have got sparkle down to a science with beautiful lab-grown diamonds worthy of your most brilliant moments. Their lab-grown diamonds are independently graded and guaranteed identical to natural diamonds. And they're ready to ship to your door. Go to BlueNile.com to get 30% off select lab-grown diamonds. That's BlueNile.com for 30% off lab-grown diamonds. BlueNile.com.
This is Famous and Gravy, biographies from a different point of view. Now the opening quiz to reveal today's dead celebrity.
This person died 2023, age 83. In 2013, after demonstrating a sufficient proficiency in German, she became a citizen of Switzerland.
No idea. Dr. Ruth.
Okay. Not Dr. Ruth. In 1987, she appeared in a Pepsi commercial alongside David Bowie.
It's not the Queen. Is it the Queen of England?
It's not the Queen.
Grace Jones, but no, she's still alive.
Grace Jones is luckily still with us, but great guess. All right. She is credited with helping Mick Jagger learn to dance.
Aretha Franklin?
Not Aretha Franklin. Good guess.
Ginger Rogers?
Not Ginger Rogers. She struggled to build a solo career, appearing in ill-conceived cabaret acts before signing with Roger Davies, the manager of Olivia Newton-John, in 1979.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be embarrassing because it's going to be someone really obvious.
Her first marriage provided much of the material for the 1993 film What's Love Got to Do with It with Angela Bassett.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, Tina Turner.
Tina Turner. Oh!
Today's dead celebrity is Tina Turner.
I'm not threatened because I find myself attractive, I'm healthy, and I'm talented. I can stand with anyone, no matter the color and no matter the power. And that's what you need for performance. So how I value myself is that I am blessed and fortunate to be attractive. Now, I didn't say I was beautiful. I said I'm attractive. I know how to be attractive, and I'm talented. And I don't try to be anybody else. And people accept me for that, and I win with that. You'll never lose when you have that security there.
Welcome to Famous and Gravy. I'm Michael Osborne.
And I'm Amit Kapoor.
And on this show, we choose a famous figure who died in the 21st century and present a new narrative. Most biographies focus on legacies and accomplishments, but we are interested in something a little different. What didn't we know? What could we not see clearly? And what does a celebrity's life story teach us about ourselves? Today, Tina Turner, died 2023, age 83. Category 1, grading the first line of their obituary. Tina Turner, the earth-shaking singer whose rasping vocals, sexual magnetism, and explosive energy made her an unforgettable live performer and one of the most successful recording artists of all time, died on Wednesday at our home in Küsnacht, Switzerland, near Zurich. She was 83. Yes, I looked out how to...
You did well. You did well in the pronunciation.
Küsnacht. Your reaction?
Kind of love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Earth-shaking, explosive. I mean, they said explosive energy.
Yeah.
Unforgettable. Like, Tina is all energy.
Yeah.
And I think they captured that in the vocabulary.
I agree.
And that's what got me excited about it.
Yeah. And it escalates, right? Who's rasping vocals, sexual magnetism, explosive energy. It gets better and better as the sentence goes on.
It's like a movie trailer, like that deep voice getting you ready.
Totally, yeah. Rasping vocals, that's a really good description of her vocal energy.
Yeah.
Sexual magnetism, I want to come back to, but I love that that's in there.
As do I.
Yeah.
As do I.
And explosive energy, there is something explosive about her. That's a great word to describe Tina Turner's stage presence.
Yeah, totally. I was watching a clip, obviously getting ready for the show the other day when I was at my parents' house and Tina was sweating, but it was during a softer song. My mom's like, my God, she sweats so much. I was like, yeah, because she's just dancing her ass off for so long.
Yeah.
She is all energy.
There's such like strength and empowerment really throughout her career. Like she is such a front man or front woman, whatever. Like she's so like perfect at the front of the stage.
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell you what I wrote down before reading this. I was curious. One, will they use the word fierce? That was a word that I kind of expected. I'm glad it's not here, but I do think that it's a really available word. There's a fierceness about Tina Turner. I think these other words are better or just as good. But then the bigger question was, were they going to mention Ike? Were they going to mention the first marriage?
So glad they didn't.
I am too, but did you think about this?
I did. And I was worried actually in reading it. I was like, I hope they don't. I hope they don't. And
so
I'm glad they didn't.
Through that. Why? Just to play out that argument. I think I'm glad too, but I'm still sort of debating in my mind whether or not I kind of was even looking for a nod to it, whose, life story was an inspiration maybe, or whose life story raised awareness around an issue that had been hiding in the shadows. It would have taken a lot of words to kind of shoehorn that in, but it's also, in my mind, what I was struggling with around this is it does feel like it is such a strong part of the narrative of who Tina Turner is, right? And is it one, negligent, or two, chicken shit to not include it or to not make reference to it in the first line?
That exact opposite. It's deferential. I think.
But it's deferential the way to think about this. I mean, this has come up a lot on the show. This is not how people want their story to be told. It's what we know them for.
Yes.
And I do think that her solo career and her star power ultimately overshadows, the problematic history of the first half of her public life.
Correct.
But not totally.
But it's also this. I would look at it maybe this way. It wasn't her doing, right? Like she was a victim to it. If she was embroiled in a scandal in which she initiated,
interesting,
then perhaps. But she was a victim. And I don't think victimhood belongs in first line.
I think that's probably right. But the decision, however she got there, and we'll get into this as we go on, the decision to go public with your story is of her agency and of her choosing.
And was huge in the way that in how we talk about domestic abuse.
Totally. I mean, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole in terms of understanding the history of domestic abuse awareness. When Tina Turner leaves Ike in the mid-70s, there's no such thing as like battered woman's shelter. Right?
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go. This is, in the middle of second wave feminism in the 1970s. There's still a lot hidden behind closed doors. And there's nobody I can think of whose story brought more awareness, or who is more symbolic of,
correct,
domestic abuse survival.
Are you saying you think it belongs in?
No, I just see the case for it. And I was kind of looking for a nod to it. And I'll say this. I mean, I really tried to not evaluate the whole obituary because we're just interested in the first line.
Yes.
The way the whole obituary treats it, I was a little dissatisfied, actually. But I do think that how much attention and to give that part of her and her story kind of is a question that I think mainstream media struggled with for decades.
And
right?
that's going to unfold a lot over the rest of this episode.
I like you. I'm glad it's not in there, but I also think just about everybody reading this first line of the obituary was like, it's not in there. I sign off on the decision. Ultimately, I think I'm on board with it because the heights she reached in her solo career really do dwarf
not only do I sign off, I give it gratitude. It may not honor journalistic neutrality, but I'm grateful for it. So
but that's an emotional reaction.
I know.
Okay. All right.
That's what I do.
I know. Is there any other kind?
Okay. So you wanted to go back to sexual magnetism.
Yeah, but I actually might want to save that for later categories.
Okay. So you don't want to talk about it right here. In terms of inclusion in the obituary, is there anything more that you want to say about it?
No. In fact, not only do I like its placement in the sentence. I like it between rasping vocals and explosive energy, that we start with the voice and then we go like to the stage and the performance, right? Like, yes. So part of upping the stakes as this sentence goes on, I think it's outstanding and I think it's 100% accurate.
Yeah. All right. Omissions. Any problems other than what
we've talked about?
So I always dwell that I like to see a proper noun. I want to hear not the movie, what's love got to do with it, but perhaps the song or Private Dancer or anything. However, I'm okay without it here. And I can't quite explain why, but I think all of the allusions they made to earth-shaking, rasping vocals, explosive energy just bring about the images of the song to anyone familiar with her that is reading this obituary.
Yeah.
That I don't think it's necessary, because I think they painted the portrait to where you're like watching the video or listening to the song. They just did such a good job with words that they didn't need to make the specific references.
I agree with that. And I think I'm actually going to have more to say on this as we get into the next category, because they don't anchor her in any music genre. And I think that's interesting. They don't peg her as a pop star, rock and roll, R&B, whatever. They just say,
singer, recording artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually think that is right on the money omission in a way. Like, to have done that would have been to shoehorn her into a genre that I'm not sure she belongs in.
Yeah. Okay, scorecards.
I'm going to go 9.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like it. I'm still... Any opening of the door to the domestic abuse and the Ike story would have kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. But as you said earlier, in terms of journalistic integrity, there is a little bit of a demerit there in my mind.
And you're a jerk.
And
also,
I'm a jerk. Yeah. It's not a 10 out of 10 quite, but everything else about this I love.
Well, I'm hold your words, sir.
All right.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
All right, then.
I think I've only dished out a couple of those.
Yeah.
And
you are choice about
I look
this.
at this is as
this is
near
a Michelin
perfect.
star experience.
This is a Michelin star. It is as near perfect as we've come across.
Yeah.
So it's a Tina Turner 10.
Next category. Category 2, 5 things I love about you. Here, Amit and I develop a list of 5 things that offer a different angle on who this person was and how they lived.
You're ready. I can see it. You're ready.
I've got
You're
explosive
ready.
sexual magnetism energy over here. So,
Go first.
Queen of Rock.
Okay.
Queen of Rock. This is a label that gets attached to her a lot. Here's why I want to lead with this. I've got a few reasons here. One is that this is where I had the biggest change of perception around Tina Turner. In my mind, she was a pop star. And I think that's because I came of age in the 80s when What's Love Got to Do With It and Private Dancer and Better Be Good to Me and all those 80s pop songs were hitting. And this was the beginning and the apex of her comeback, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think of her as a rock and roll star in the strict sense of the word or of the term rock and roll. And I now do. When it comes to her music, I like some of the pop hits, but if they're on the radio, I may or may not leave them on. However, the covers of rock and roll songs are electric to me.
Yeah.
I love them. I mean, obviously, Proud Mary's a big one.
Which she also did solo later, too, right?
Yeah. But also, I saw a performance of Help, the Beatles song. I saw her performing Honky Tonk Women with the Stones. True classic rock songs. All right, so when I read her biographies, and I ended up reading both of them, there's a lot of rock and roll stars who are absolutely critical to her early success and her comeback. Ike and Tina toured with the Stones in the 60s.
Yes.
Tina was the one who was like, we should really cover this Creedence Clearwater song, Proud Mary. She's in the Who opera, right?
Tommy,
thank you, as the Acid Queen. Bowie plays an enormous role in her comeback. Do you know this story?
Yeah, the dinner in
There's the dinner in New York when he's, promoting Let's Dance, and the, record execs are like, how can we wine and dine you? He's like, I want to see my favorite singer, Tina Turner. And he takes like Keith Richards and Ron Wood from the Stones.
63 people, I believe, to that show.
Right. And they're like, holy cow, who, Tina Turner, my God. And then they stay up all night drinking and partying.
Yeah.
Awesome picture of Bowie, Keith Richards, and Tina passing a bottle of Jack around a piano. I mean, like, something that I think is really worth pointing out about all these rock stars, all Brits. It's British invasion and their descendants, right? It's the Stones, it's the Beatles, it's Who, they cover a Zeppelin song later, Bowie, Rod Stewart. I mean, the Brits recognize her as a rock and roll star.
Yes.
Right? And
even the fans later, she was bigger in Europe than she was in the US.
100%. Her success in Europe was critical for sustaining her career. All right, I got one more thing to say on this.
Okay.
Wes Anderson, the director, gave an interview years ago that what he said really stuck in my mind. He said the reason he likes to use the British invasion music in his movies, like Rushmore and Tenenbaums and so forth, is that there's something about adolescent angst and the awkwardness of this sexual energy that comes when the hormones come online.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, I now see Tina Turner through that filter.
Yes.
Right. I see. And that's this sexual magnetism thing that's in the first line of her obituary. She totally is rock and roll in every sense of the word, in like the truest sense of the word. And she even talks about this. She's like, I'm mistaken for R&B and as a pop singer. And even though she had commercial success with the pop songs, I think she needs to be understood as a rock and roll star.
In America, radio programmers don't program you as a black person, rock and roll. You're R&B because of your color. I had to prove it over the years. This is the part coming in of like being a woman and being black. I've been rock and roll all my life. I have stood with the rock and roll guys, and still they say, the radio programmers said, no, we cannot program her. She's R&B.
Because she's black.
Because I'm black. You have to go crossover R&B before you can make rock and roll. But I reversed it on them. My audience, the people, proclaimed me rock and roll.
So that's why you love it, is your own misunderstanding versus what she actually is.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. I can now feel like I can go into a bar and get it in somebody's face and like, you don't like Tina Turner? Then you don't understand rock and roll, sir.
This is this is how you go into bars?
Sometimes. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking to pick an argument.
I haven't been to one with you in a day, so I don't know.
Well, these are specific kinds of bars, but yes. But okay, let me throw this back to you. Did you think of her as rock and roll? Like before you got into the research, would you have said she's a rock star?
No,
not a pop
I would
star?
have put her in that category of Madonna, Michael Jackson.
Totally. All the rest.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's because of MTV. I also think that is where she found commercial success. But she even says, she doesn't like the song. Or didn't like the song, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Correct. But it seems like the absence of guitar playing somehow precludes you from being rock.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
I also think
matter.
There's a race thing there too.
Yeah, could be. But I think there is a bias that without guitars, then you're not rock. But if you have rasping vocals, that is rock.
Yes. And I love that about her. She really won me over. Sometimes this happens in our episodes where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about Tina Turner. And the more I got into not just her story, but her art, the more in I found myself. And it's the stuff you don't know about. So that's my number one.
All right, let's keep it moving. Right. Number two, I'm calling this Age is Just a Number. It was 1984 when she kind of reemerged on the scene after separating from Ike in That Life. And she came out with Private Dancer, which included What's Love Got to Do with It, and became a explosive hit.
Yes.
Right? 44 years old as a woman and as a black woman on top of that. Never, ever been done before.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's getting a fresh start at that time. That was just the beginning. Okay, so at age 45 is when she stars in Mad Max. At age 48, she sets the record for, at the time, 180,000 people for a paid performance in Sao Paulo.
For a solo artist, yeah.
Yes. At age 57, she was named by Hanes, the underwear brand, on their survey, their sexy leg survey. Yeah. So she won it initially at age 57 and then again at age 71, beating out Beyonce and Jennifer Aniston. This was in 2011, I believe. In 73, she was on the cover of German Vogue, becoming the oldest person to ever be on the cover of Vogue.
At age 73, not 1973. Yes. She's a Vogue cover girl.
Yeah, beating out Meryl Streep, who was the previous oldest.
Yeah.
So this is a woman that age is just a number, and she gets better and hotter and more talented, like in middle age and beyond. You know how much I love those stories because it's just, I think what we all need is optimism. Yes, youth is great and it's fun and it's innocent, but there is so much opportunity the older you get. There's so much more you can do and so much more fun you can have and impact. And I love when she restarted and that it kept climbing for a while.
It really looks like it's coming from the inside out. Like it's an inner resource of energy.
Yep.
Which is not a bad segue to my number 3.
Okay.
All right. This is in the movie and this gets brought up a lot, but I love it, love it, love it. Chanting.
Okay.
I can't, how do you say it? Nam Myoho Renge-kyo?
Great.
That's pretty good, right?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it again because I'll probably screw it up.
Yeah. Why do you think I would know? It's better.
Well, because I don't know. You meditate.
Thank you. Okay. I was race baiting you, but go ahead.
I could feel that. I'm going to read something from her memoir.
Okay.
So she wrote 2 books, I, Tina, with Kurt Loder of MTV fame.
Yep.
And then many years later, she writes Tina Turner, My Love Story. So, I mean, this is sort of an apocryphal story, right? There's somebody who's playing in the band, I think, with Ike and Tina, who introduces her to Buddhism in the early 70s, introduces that chant, and she locks in immediately and finds real power and depth to it. She becomes a practicing Buddhist. And the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, even begins with some sort of interpretation of Nam Myoho Renge-kyo.
Yeah.
She talks about it all the time. And there's a passage in her book that I absolutely loved. And here's what she had to say. Bear with me. I think this is good. Chanting, I discovered, removed uncomfortable attitudes from my thoughts. I started thinking differently. Everything became lighter. I needed a new mindset to deal with my horrible marriage, and my practice, as it's called, was helping me reprogram my brain to move into light, to make the right decisions. The more I did it, the stronger I felt. Someone once asked me about the relationship between singing and chanting. I explained that chanting is not necessarily like singing a song. Rather, it's that moment when you find yourself making sounds from within, from your heart, from your spirit. Each person has a song inside. That is something I learned over time. You can find the hum inside of you that can give you peace when you are really down. Mama Georgie, my grandmother, had a hum, never a song. She would sit in a rocking chair and just hum, and I would listen. There was no real melody, but I know now that it was her way of touching a place deep inside her. It was the song of her soul. Everyone should try to find the song within.
And
if you do it long enough, you become less stressed. But it's not magic. It's the practice itself is more mystic, but not magic. But I tell you, when you're in trouble and you really seek help, you don't get it. You test it and you think, my goodness, something works here.
I, as you know, have been doing morning yoga.
Yes.
And it ends with Om, you know?
Yeah.
I have now gotten to a place where I really look forward to Om.
Yeah. It's vibrational healing.
Yeah, but I feel corny around it, right? You know?
You've offended me and 1.4999 billion of my brothers and sisters.
And to them, I apologize. And to them, I am ready to take action to make amends.
We embrace you and we love you.
Well, it starts with this podcast.
Okay.
Do you chant?
I do Om at the end of my meditations, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you find a power in it?
That's strong. I don't know that I find a power in it, but I find comfort in it.
Yeah, comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, Tina Turner finds this in the depths of hell that is her marriage.
Yes.
But I love this stuff about the song inside and connecting with your soul. You know, I actually recently made a list that I've just been keeping on my phone of things that are good for my soul. It includes cold plunges and exercise and spending time with kids. Chanting is now on there. And looking for a vibrational energy and trying to get in touch with the song within. And I love that this woman who is a A++ singer with rasping vocals is like, everybody has this inside and you need to find it. And if you find it, you find power within it. And my story speaks to that because this is the beginning of her turning point in terms of finding her own power.
Yep.
I know it's in the movie. I know it's been talked about, but I'm not sure it's emphasized enough. And I love her pathway there. So that's my thing, number 3.
Yeah. So my number 4 is she didn't see the movie. She didn't see What's Love Got to Do with It.
Yeah.
And in a summary, why I love this is self-control. Right? The reason she didn't see it, because if someone makes a movie about me, like even if it does bring up, horrible things, I don't know that I have the self-control to not at least peek at it.
Yeah, I want to know how my story's being spun, and probably remembered that movie is arguably the lasting impression.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
A lot of people, I think that and it's great and the performances are incredible.
Yeah.
But it's also flawed up and down, by the way.
It's flawed. So that's the other thing is she wants her own narrative, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be out there. It's going to portray a certain story. It's going to exaggerate certain parts, but it is also going to be empowering to other people in terms of like, don't put up with this shit.
Yes.
And so for that, it's positive, but she didn't want to be reminded of it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's her right. Like no matter how huge it is, no matter that she is the subject matter, she's got self-control and she has power over her own narrative. She's asked about Ike all the time. And
yes.
It's inevitable that it's going to keep coming up.
Annoyingly so, as if there's something more to be said, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's perfect, what you just said. Because she said, when the movie came out, she goes, the story was written, so I no longer had to deal with it. And the story was written, meaning the book I, Tina, that she wrote.
Yeah, detailed her abuse.
Yeah, this is done. I no longer have to deal with it. The world can have it. Hopefully it saves lives or improves lives. But I don't have to see it.
I like how you linked that with self-control too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would have a hard time staying out of it, no matter how good or bad, especially if everybody's saying such a great movie.
Yeah. It's like the little pep talk you gave me a few weeks ago when you're like, stop reading the troll comments, because you get some,
sure.
when you have a podcast.
Yeah. It's just how it is. Okay. I'm going to end with something I've been saving a little bit. I love her fashion.
Okay.
I love her fashion. I love her materialism.
A lot of emasculating of Michael Osborne coming out
I'm
already.
good with it. So I have a friend, John W., who I've had a lot of conversations with in the lead up to this episode. He is a fan of the show. After I told him we were doing a Tina Turner episode.
Why did you say John W.? So he gets a special shout out rather than just I have a friend John?
He knows who he is. I have a friend, John. I'll back up. I have a friend, John.
He
knows who he is.
I like it.
His eyes lit up when I said we were doing a Tina Turner episode. He wanted to be kind of involved. One thing he said when we did the Angela Lansbury episode, he's like, I really liked it. You guys needed a gay. So I was like, okay, help me understand Tina as a gay icon. And so we had a lot of conversations about this. She is just freaking fashionable. You look at put it on mute and watch What's Love Got to Do with It and her strutting with the leather skirt.
You're talking the video.
Yeah, the video. The leather skirt and the jean jacket and the 80s hair.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you're going to go in drag, Tina Turner is a good choice to start with. But it's more than that. It is also, this will come up later in her marriage to Erwin, her second husband. She really likes stuff. She likes shopping. The main tension in their marriage is Erwin is German. He's sparse and he doesn't want a bunch of stuff in the apartment. And Tina can't help herself. And in every house, she's like hellbent on decorating. But it's total like woman's touch stuff. This is true with her wigs. This is true with her outfits. This is true with everything about her. And I love it. Okay. I love her sense of fashion. Like I love somebody.
It sounds like fashion and style because you're talking about furnishings and stuff as well.
I think that's right. And this is obviously a major deficit in my life, and not my wife, but personally. Like we've left to my own devices. I can't choose a pair of khaki shorts to wear.
But this t-shirt you're wearing is just remarkable.
This is about as fashionable as I get.
Okay.
So I love fashion and style. I think that's better.
Okay, and I love that you love it.
Okay,
recap.
A recap. All right, number 1, I said Queen of Rock. Number 2,
I said age is just a number.
I love it when that one comes up. Number 3, inner music. Number 4, you said didn't see the movie?
Yep.
And number 5, I went fashion and style.
Okay.
Hell yeah. All right, let's move on.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month slows. Full terms at mintmobile.com.
Make this new school year an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families, where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, while parents keep an eye on kids' money habits. Greenlight also helps families get into their fall routine with a chores feature that lets parents assign chores and pay kids' allowance when they check them off. Get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery. Greenlight.com/Wondery.
Category 3, One Love. In this category, we each choose one word or phrase that characterizes their loving relationships. Before we select our word or phrase, though, we review the family life data. I'll go through this quickly. She was married to Ike from 1962 to 1978 is when the divorce was finalized. She was about 22 or 23 when they got married, 38, 39 when they divorced. There are 4 kids, all boys. 2 were Ike's from a previous relationship. 1 was Tina's from a previous relationship. They had 1 child together. All the boys were very close in age, and they were all raised in one family.
And raised by Tina after the separation.
Very
all
much.
4 of them.
Yes. But Tina, one of her big regrets is I was on the road a lot. I think she was an active and involved mother. She talks about in an interview with Mike Wallace, like actually going to PTA and stuff. But that's the thing about Ike and Tina is a lot of the money came from touring. They are on the road all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Second marriage, Erwin Bach, 2013 to 2023. Tina was 73 when they actually got married. They were together until her death. He is 16 years younger than her. They actually started dating, though, in 1986, and he proposed in 1989. And also, really worth noting, the man gave her a kidney.
Yes.
Her health problems begin to mount shortly after they finally do get married. One of them was kidney failure.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be a suitable donor. And she's like, Erwin, don't do this. I'm older than you and I'm ready and I'm not afraid. And Erwin said, you're the only woman for me and I'll take whatever I can get. You can have one of my kidneys.
It's so sweet. Yeah.
It's incredible. Actually, their relationship is so freaking cute. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to emphasize what you said, they were together for 27 years before they married.
Correct.
Right. So
it's the entire second half of her life.
Yes.
Or it's certainly her adult life. Yeah. And she describes it as love at first sight, actually.
Yeah.
She was dating a little bit, but she saw him, was like, holy cow, and came on to him. I mean, the whole love story, and this is really detailed in her autobiography, is moving and genuine and incredible.
Also, he was another kind of handsome. He was an unusual looking man. Great eyes.
She shared with us that you'd asked to marry when she turned 50.
Twice, yes. Yeah. You know, I think when a woman turns 50, she should have a commitment from her partner.
Yeah.
And that's why I proposed and asked the question wrong.
What'd you say?
Well, I said, will you marry with me?
I'm going to pause because I really agonized over my one word or phrase. I'd like to hear yours first.
Okay. My phrase, it's not a word, is what's Ike got to do with it? I mean, it's the story that's told over and over again. She was nearly a child when it started. She saw him as an older brother at first. A certain series of events and power dynamics and all kind of made it a romantic relationship.
But it did start off platonic, yeah.
Yeah, that became a marriage and a horribly abusive marriage.
Yes.
Right.
That got worse and worse, especially as his cocaine addiction took off and as his frustrations, awful.
Yeah, and she says, later on, she just says he was an ill man.
Yeah.
He was very ill. So that's a story that is told over and over and over again. It is out there. It is good for what it does to raise awareness, but it's not the story about her love. So forget it. Forget it in this category. What's Ike got to do with it? She found love. She wrote a song. What's love got to do with it? Because she was like, it doesn't have much to do with anything, right? Because that's a song that's just about physical attraction.
I don't think she wrote it, but it became associated with her. She obviously popularized
so there's a lot of dismissal of love out there.
Yeah.
And she felt like she didn't have it. Before Erwin, right?
Yes.
She didn't. Her childhood was really hard.
Yeah, her mom's a real problematic figure too. Actually,
well, due to the dad being problematic.
Yeah,
because I think he was abusive, and she ran away, or she moved to St. Louis. Tina and her sisters went to live with the grandparents, and then eventually went to live with the mom in St. Louis. Is when she got started with the Ike Turner Review.
Right.
It was rough all along, and she had not felt love.
So the way I read it in the autobiography, she does single out her mom.
Yeah, it improved. The relationship definitely improved.
It did, but it did sound like her mom didn't quite know how to love. Anyway, continue.
So all I want to say is what's Ike got to do with it?
I like it.
That's not her love story.
Okay. I'm going to add to that, and I hope this is the right phrase. I don't know. I went with lived expertise.
Okay.
So this is a diversion, but it's been on my mind. As you know, I've actually been doing a lot of work in the child welfare space, and a term you hear all the time is lived experience.
Okay.
And people who have quote unquote lived experience, I hear them talk a lot about how problematic that term is, in part because it's kind of a euphemism for you've been through some trauma. Right. Yeah. And sometimes you hear people say we should reframe this as lived expertise, because we're actually experts in the room. And if you want to try and change a system or an institution, you need our expertise. I think that there's a journey with Tina Turner that really does, build on what's Ike got to do with it, where she, one, has to escape him, but also I think has to find peace with I love myself. And I have self-worth, and she finds self-worth, but then wonders, will I ever have another relationship? And then has a love at first sight experience with Erwin, where she discovers she's incredibly capable of giving and receiving love. And I think that there's something really important to be learned from the fact that she was able to have a very loving and healthy marriage long after the marriage with Ike. That actually, you could play this out in a different direction, that she never finds anybody else, right? But I think she finds something inside her that makes her able to give and receive love. She becomes an expert. Her story is not just about surviving domestic abuse. It's also learning how to grow towards health. It's absolutely the upward staircase.
Correct.
There's a moment I want to draw quick attention to, and then I want to hear your reaction to this idea. Mike Wallace, when he interviews her for 60 Minutes in 1997, they're talking about...
Yeah, I watched that.
Did you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where he's like, you must be a handful. And she goes, no, not really. I think I'm actually quite good in our marriage. In her book, she talks about she and Erwin go on long road trips, and it's in the car that they sort it all out, that they talk about their marriage and where are we. And I think this is such a sign of a frankly healthy marriage. And it's something Allison and I do that's almost a ritual. It's one of my favorite things to do whenever she and I need to have like a real conversation. The fact that Tina Turner's doing that with Erwin tells me a lot. I see a lot in that. So, lived expertise.
Okay, good.
Category 4?
Category 4.
Net worth.
This is the fun one.
I cannot wait for this. In this category, we write down our numbers ahead of time, and then we will look up the net worth number in real time. The host, and whether it's Ahmed or me, closest to the actual number will explain their reasoning. And finally, we will place this person on the Famous and Gravy net worth leaderboard. Okay. Ahmed Kapoor wrote down $235 million. Wow. Okay.
Let's see what Michael Osborne wrote down. $120 million.
The final net worth for Tina Turner, $250 million.
Yes.
Nicely done, sir. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I'll tell you where I arrived.
Yeah. I know you put some thought into this.
We look at her contemporaries that we've done episodes on.
Oh, so you went with comps here. I should have done that.
David Bowie, $230 million.
Wow.
George Michael, $200 million.
Okay.
Prince, $165 million.
Yeah.
Okay. So George Michael and Prince both died pretty young, so less time for accumulation and so forth.
Yes.
Bowie died pretty young, actually, but
69 or something, I think.
Yeah. But he had a lot of money, and he also lived lavishly for quite a while.
I agree.
Okay. So Tina, one of the highest grossing performers of all time, she also played the endorsement game a lot more than these other people did. So I talked about Hanes earlier. For that alone, she was paid $20 million. She also did Converse. She did Plymouth cars.
Ooh.
She did Pepsi, a commercial that was with Bowie. She took that opportunity, and you always hear about someone like Michael Jordan. He got a certain amount of money from playing basketball, but it was Nike and Gatorade, and also Hanes, strangely, that were also like bigger parts of his fortune.
Yeah.
And so I kind of saw that in Tina, and I looked at these other numbers of comps, and I saw a woman that, although she literally lived on food stamps.
I was going to say.
Right after, like in 1977, a year after the divorce from Ike, because she got nothing monetarily. She got certain rights.
Yeah.
But nothing monetarily.
She gave up everything. She said, this is a famous story. She kept her name and that's it.
Yeah.
She said, I get all the royalties for any music. I'm done. I just want a clean break.
Yep.
Against the advice of her divorce lawyer.
Correct. And so this fortune was all built then. She worked her ass off.
Amen.
in concerts, in shows, in appearances. She did very small ones just to get her name back up. She was doing the freaking Brady Bunch hour initially in like the late
Hollywood
70s.
Squares. It was anything, Vegas Cabaret Act. I mean, she was scrapping.
She is so hardworking in putting out videos, in putting out great albums, in putting out energetic concerts. It is like what we see Taylor Swift do today. She worked for it, and she took these endorsements. She did it, in my mind, without horribly selling out. And so that was my logic to the fortune.
I love it.
So here's the good news. 250 puts her in a tie for second place with Kenny Rogers.
Wow.
However, I should couch this as that number one is Ross Perot, who had 4 billion. So if we remove the outlier, she's a tie for number one in who we've done.
Wow. Category 5, Little Lebowski Urban Achievers.
They're the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers.
The Achievers.
Yes, and proud we are of all of them.
In this category, we choose a trophy, an award, a cameo, an impersonation, or any other form of a hat tip that we want to bring into the conversation. You do not have to know this person for this, or you might have forgotten about it.
You go first.
All right. So, world records. I am not going with the Rio concert for 186,000 tickets sold, even though that was a Guinness Book of World Records for a time. I am also not going with the number of tickets sold on her farewell tour in Europe, 3 million tickets. Instead, I am going, this is a total hat tip for me, the Nutbush line dance. Are you familiar with the Nutbush line dance?
I know she's from Nutbush, Tennessee. That is all I know.
And there's a great song that she wrote when it was still Ike and Tina Review called Nutbush City Limits. And so this is a total Wikipedia rabbit hole. Bear with me. The Nutbush is a line dance performed to Ike and Tina's song Nutbush City Limits. The dance, which emerged in the 1970s disco era, is particularly popular in Australia, where it has been taught in schools. Hang on to that idea for a minute. The dance is generally performed by a group of people of all genders and ages at a social function, schools, weddings, community events. The steps are fairly simple, such that one who does not know them can generally pick them up by watching other dancers. The origins of the Nutbush are elusive. Despite the wide popularity of the dance, again, especially in Australia, Tina Turner herself never performed it to the song, although there is a clip on the Cher show where it looks like actually Tina and the Ikettes are doing something that is classic to the line dance. All right, the world record. In 2015, dancers in the Victorian town of Horsham set the first Guinness World Record for the number of people doing it with 254 dancers. That was then topped in October 2017 with 522, and then in 2018, across Australia, podunk towns are trying to one-up themselves with how many people they can get to do the Nutbush line dance, and there is fabulous clips on YouTube and TikTok all about this.
Campers at a popular desert festival in Birdsville in Queensland have broken their own record. More than 5,500 people danced to Nutbush City Limits at the Big Red Bash in the Simpson Desert. It's the largest group dancing to the hit song in one place, breaking the previous world record of just over 4,000. Hundreds of onlookers watched as people dressed in their best Tina Turner outfits. A tribute concert to the late star took place as well, featuring top Australian artists.
The current record, again, was broken apparently at Big Red Bash on July 6, 2023, with 5,838 line dancers.
Yeah.
So you ask anybody in Australia, what dance did you learn? Apparently this was integrated into the curriculum in the 70s and has been with Australia ever since. Here's why I love it. Nutbush, Tennessee, where Tina Turner is from, is a barely incorporated town. I really like that Nutbush. That feels like a real Australian word.
Yeah.
Right? But it actually gets back to the music inside idea. We should learn to dance at a young age. And line dancing, while very corny, like you can watch it and follow along pretty easily and learn it pretty easily. And I love that there is a whole continent now obsessed with perfecting the Nutbush line dance. So that's my Little Lebowski Urban Achiever.
That is phenomenal.
I thought you'd like that.
Yes. I should say her school in Nutbush has been preserved in the Delta Heritage Museum.
Yeah,
I won't go into length about it here, but we can link to it in the show notes.
All right. Your Little Lebowski.
I had a lot to choose from, right? So there's the obvious Mad Max, which was her big cinematic debut. She had a really interesting one in Ally McBeal. Where I landed was The Last Action Hero.
Oh, is she in that?
Are you familiar with the movie?
You know, I've actually never seen that one.
Oh, it doesn't get great reviews. I actually really like it. I think it's very clever in kind of a Charlie Kaufman type of way.
Yeah.
I think your son would like it, actually. It's very meta. It plays a lot in kind of time, space types of things. So anyway, the premise of it is Arnold Schwarzenegger essentially plays himself, who is a fictional cop, but the line gets blurred from reality is that fiction actually becomes reality.
Yeah.
So Tina Turner plays the mayor of Los Angeles in that movie.
Really?
She only has a couple of lines and really only appears in one scene. But I love that they cast Tina Turner as the mayor of Los Angeles. Okay. And the reason I love this is, we know her for the leather and the sexiness and all that. But here she is as a pantsuit boss.
Yeah.
As a public servant. And I just love that for her.
Yeah.
It's just such good casting.
Yeah.
And
because she is a leader, right? She's a lioness. Like, that's what it means to have that kind of stage presence, right? Is to lead.
Exactly. And unfortunately, the scene she's in is because Arnold Schwarzenegger is going rogue and kind of like ignores her.
Yeah.
So it's just really the casting that I love about it.
Yeah.
And what I just didn't even know about it, despite probably having seen that movie 2 or 3 times, I just didn't even notice that was Tina Turner. The other great thing is it came out in 1993, the same year as What's Love Got to Do with It. Last Action Hero did nowhere near as well as What's Love Got to Do with it.
It was a bomb, as I recall, right?
Yeah.
It was, or at least disappointing.
I think it had some cult revival later.
Totally.
But I love that it came out at the same time. And just like I said before, Tina claiming her narrative, Tina being the mayor versus Tina being the victim. I love seeing Tina as the mayor in the same year.
It's beautiful.
Say goodbye to performance-robbing engine deposits with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Hate to break it to you, but lower-grade fuel can leave deposits in your engine that build up over time and leave your engine's performance severely lacking. Thankfully, Shell V-Power Nitro Plus removes up to 100% of performance-robbing deposits with continuous use in gasoline direct injection engine fuel injectors. Download the Shell app today to find your nearest Shell station and rejuvenate your engine with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Fuel up at Shell.
Worried about letting someone else pick out the perfect avocado for your perfect impress them on the third date guacamole? Well, good thing Instacart shoppers are as picky as you are. They find ripe avocados like it's their guac on the line. They are milk expiration date detectives. They bag eggs like the 12 precious pieces of cargo they are. So let Instacart shoppers overthink your groceries so that you can overthink what you'll wear on that third date. Download the Instacart app today to get free delivery on your first 3 orders, while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Okay, next category. Words to live by. In this category, we each choose a quote. These are either words that came out of this person's mouth or was said about them that resonated in a certain way. I'll go first. I really do think that if I were going to choose something, it's like Find the Music Within You that I was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. I like this, though. She said, people think my life has been tough, but I think it has been a wonderful journey. The older you get, the more you realize it's not what happens, but how you deal with it. It's pretty simple. It's very Buddhist.
Yeah.
I just like that. I mean, reference it a lot. The Serenity Prayer means a lot to me. What can I control? What can I not control? And how can I tell the difference? And this idea of how you deal with what life gives you, that's where you have agency. That's where you have power. I think there's a lot of wisdom hidden in these words. So I just love it.
Okay. I like that too. Okay.
What do you got?
So mine's actually very similar, but different. She wrote a book that's not really talked about as much in 2020 called Happiness Becomes You, A Guide to Changing Your Life for Good. And this is Tina in Buddhahood.
Yeah.
And a line from that.
Buddhahood? Wait, Buddhahood? Is that a word?
Yeah, Buddhahood's a word.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll attain it.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
So she wrote, as German-Swiss author Hermann Hesse said, the more we mature, the younger we grow. What a beautiful sentiment. Okay, so yes, I am attributing her quoting someone else, but the idea that the more we would mature, the younger we grow. This goes way back to what my number 2 thing I love about her.
But what does that mean, actually?
Freedom. more freedom than you realize. You think you have everything as a child, as a teen, in your 20s, you have everything before you and ahead of you. That is not the same as the inner freedom and the tolerance and the understanding. That's how I'm interpreting it.
I like that.
And I think that's what Tina meant.
Yeah. It's so funny with Buddhist sayings that come up. Oftentimes it feels like variations on a theme, right? Yeah. But I hear something about surrender in there, but I really like how you went to freedom there. I guess I just hadn't put it into words or into my head before that, I mentioned sort of offhandedly earlier that I've got this note about things that I'm trying to do to connect with my soul, and one of them is spend time with children.
Yeah.
Part of the experience of being in proximity to the innocence that kids can have.
Are you talking about your own children? You're not just like at playgrounds?
Actually, I like hanging out with kids. I think it is good to hang out with kids. It is mostly my kids that I want to hang out with.
But, okay, you're talking friends' kids and
and nephews and nieces, and like this has been one of the, I brought this up before, I'm sure. This has been one of the big transitions in my life. Before I became a father, I did not care for the company of children. I thought kids melt down and they're annoying, and I've done a total 180 on that. Yeah. The company of children is a great thing. I actually enjoy playful innocence and just watching like consciousness come into bloom, into light, I think is a wonderful, beautiful thing. But it is also a observation of what freedom looks like.
Yeah.
So as you say that, I actually totally agree that to grow younger is to grow free.
To grow mature is to grow free.
But what did Tina, what was this quote from Tina?
The more we mature, the younger we grow. Okay,
that's what I mean.
What you're saying. You're saying the growing of younger.
That's what
freedom.
I mean. That's how I read that.
Yep. Okay.
Good words.
Yeah.
All right. Category 7, man in the mirror. This category is fairly simple. Did this person like their reflection, yes or no? This is not about external beauty necessarily, but rather a question of self-confidence versus self-judgment.
It's a tough one.
Really? I went yes in every sense.
Really? There's so many times that she has said that, she looks and she sees inadequacy.
Yeah, but I think that she finds a power within. I mean, it's the journey. We talk about this as if you could freeze frame, but I think that she discovers power within her. I think part of the reason she's a gay icon is because she was marginalized and becomes a symbol of empowerment.
Yeah.
And I think that her attention to style and fashion, which she's proud of. I like to look good. I love the wigs. I love the makeup. I love to, I spend time on this. I didn't even write yes. I wrote yes in all caps. Really? I think I'm 100% loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
So I just saw
She's
a lot of...
proud. She is a proud woman.
She definitely is. She became. She definitely became.
But even, I think she actually always was, and no matter what a fucking monster Ike was, I think that inner pride and confidence existed within her and had to find an outlet.
Yeah. So I think it's great that you're going a capital yes with exclamation points. I wanted to, but I just saw these evidence of self-criticism. Even her opening line of the 2019 HBO biography is like, it was a rough life. And then she does actually talk about all these times in like looking at her reflection and like, am I worth loving? She did not acknowledge as beautiful as she actually was.
She talked about herself being attractive, not a beauty or something. There was some parsing of words.
Yes. But I refuse to go a no. It's because I see everything that you see in her. And so I'm also going to go a yes, that she liked her reflection in the mirror. And I grabbed one quote from 1985, I believe. And she said, "Why can't someone see the beauty in the person I am?" So this is, when she is single, she's post-Ike, she's rising, she's saying that she can't experience love, but she knows that she's worthy of it and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
Inside and out. And I saw that as liking herself, knowing her potential. She eventually reached well beyond. Unfortunately, I saw too much in order to give the capital yes, triple exclamation point.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely a yes, and I like yours better than mine.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, good. I very rarely win arguments, but I'm glad. I'm going to call this a win for me. This counts as a win.
And for Tina.
All right, category 8, coffee, cocktail, cannabis. This is where we ask, which one would we most want to do with our dead celebrity? This may be a question of what kind of drug sounds like the most fun to partake with this person, or another philosophy is that a particular kind of drug might allow access to a part of them you're most curious about. I didn't have to think hard. I went cannabis.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Go.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
I want to get on the wavelength. I want to find the music within. I want the creativity juices flowing. I want to chant. I want to sing. I don't need any more truth from her. I don't need her to say anything more about what's on the inside. I think she has shown everything she can and should. I don't have lingering curiosity about who she was. She's shown who she was. If there were one question I'd want to ask, I think it is actually around this lived expertise idea. How do we own our own story? And you wrote these books where you came very clean about everything that happened, and you've been kind of burdened with that story. People keep freaking asking about it. Do you have any ideas for where to draw these lines? But I don't think she's the one to ask that question. I think that's a commentary on our institutions, on the institution of marriage. And I don't need to have those deep intellectual conversations. So I basically just want to get high and find the music within.
Okay. I like it. Mine's not too dissimilar now that you've explained it. Initially, I thought it was. So I'm going cocktail, very specifically champagne.
All right.
And I want to dance with Tina in the late 80s. I just want to have a good old time, you know, and
yeah, totally.
I just want to feel that explosive energy. Yeah. I want her to bring out the joy in me that she brought in Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And nothing more, no more complicated than that. This woman had it. She is the type that I don't like dancing. Michael,
Yeah.
I'll do it at weddings and so forth. There's a famous story from
This
me
is
in
why
college.
line dancing's so great, by the way. There's a famous story. I interrupted. I want to hear
From me from college of like a very attractive girl was like, hey, do you want to go dancing? And I was like, I don't dance. And my friends quoted that for a few years.
Oh, no. Did you not dance? Or did you dance badly?
No. So we were at one bar.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we're going to go to this other club to go dance. And I was like, oh, thanks. I don't dance.
Oh, okay. Got it. So opportunity, we'd like you to come
I was
with
like,
us.
no, instead I'm going to go
Yeah,
just with my 3 guy friends, and we're just going to go drink light
watch
beer at the
Office
next
Space for the 19th time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant move.
Well, you need dance lessons from Tina.
I don't need the lessons. I'm a pretty decent dancer, and I'm more open to it now. I still
More
don't
than
love
a private dancer?
Yes. I do it mostly at weddings and all. I don't go to clubs. But, if there's an occasion at a party or something, I'll do a little bit of it. But I think Tina brings that out in you.
Yeah.
And with dancing is movement, there's release, there is joy, but there is nothing but that present moment. And I think Tina, probably better than anybody else we've at least talked about in this show, can bring it out. So give me and Tina a bottle of champagne, crank up the music, hers or someone else's, and let's just go dance.
Before we get to the last category, this has been a frickin' Tina Turner love fest, as well as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
This is not where I started with her.
Me too.
When we chose, it sounds like it. That's what I was going to ask. That's why I wanted to ask that before we got to the last category. It sounds like you've had a journey with Tina Turner.
Yeah, because I followed the tragedy story.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was like all I needed to know.
Yeah, and I knew there was a rise from the ashes, but it turned. I realized how important she was in empowerment, energy, magnetism, and really just bringing people into that kind of dancing type moment.
Yeah, well said. Okay, category 9. The Vanderbeek, named after James Vanderbeek, who famously said in Varsity Blues,
I don't want your life.
In that Varsity Blues scene, James makes a judgment that he does not want a certain kind of life based on very little information. So here, Amit and I will form a rebuttal to anyone who is skeptical of how Tina Turner lived and Tina Turner's life.
So the obvious is out there, right, is the brutality of her early years.
Are we talking about the counter-argument
The
here?
counter-argument.
Yeah.
That's the obvious. She also...
She suffered. And it got so bad that there was a very serious suicide attempt to say just how hellish her life was.
And she suffered several times, right? She lost a son to suicide herself, within a year after getting married. And yes, we've said that she was together with him for 27 years prior, but a year after she got married is when she got this kidney disease, right?
Yeah.
She suffered a stroke.
Yeah.
It's
really actually all
started
these things. There was kidney failure, a stroke, and cancer on top of everything.
Yeah. So there's arguments against. The argument for.
Yes.
What do you think is the number one?
I'm going to start with the obvious, and she came to this. Okay, the reason they keep asking me about my troubled marriage and the domestic abuse is because ultimately I am an inspiration to people. My story is helping raise awareness and is showing people that there's a way out. The greater I can be, the more successful I can be, the more empowered I can be, the more beautiful I can be, the more hope I can bring.
Yeah.
So the legacy is incredible. And while it, I think, is uncomfortable because people keep asking about it and it becomes such a primary association with her, at the end of the day, that's point number one.
Yeah, and I'm going to go number two is the peace she found.
Yeah.
You know, despite the physical illnesses that she faced in later life, you know, she wrote this book in 2020 about how to find happiness.
Yeah.
Right? She said in 2013 to Oprah, you know, that it's nice when you can go and look back at certain things and laugh. You know, I don't know exactly to what she was referring to, but she found peace. And you look at her home in Switzerland that she lived, you know, out the last part of her life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this idyllic house, it's idyllic community. She used to pay for the Christmas lights every year.
Well, it's a wonderful, serene, yet dramatic effect.
Still a work in progress, it has breathtaking views of the French Riviera, a spectacular pool, and all the comforts she needs.
Please, is at your feet.
You feel like you deserve all this?
I deserve more.
It is, to me, the emblem of peace.
Yeah.
And to go from 180,000 people in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1988, which is a certain kind of high, to just finding peace, which is a different kind of high, but she got them both.
You know, we haven't talked about this yet, but I think also a real theme of her life and her journey is forgiveness. When she's asked about Ike in later years, sometimes she just says, I hope he has hit records. I think he's a talented musician. I found a way to forgive him, which is not to excuse him in any way, shape, or form, but she sees him as a sick man.
Yeah, her soul is too damn good.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we have for the arguments in our rebuttal to James?
Well, I want to add one more.
Oh.
She has you appreciating style and she has me appreciating dancing.
She can change people.
And if she can change people, and if she did that for the two of us, just think of the not hundreds of thousands, but the millions that she changed inside.
Okay, let's summarize then.
Okay.
So number one, she became a symbol of empowerment.
Correct. And number two, she found peace.
And number three, she changed people.
She changed people. And let me throw in a number four.
Okay.
She grew younger.
Yeah. So with that, do you want to take this?
Yes. James Vanderbeek, I am Tina Turner, and you might want my life.
Excellent. Speed round here. Plugs for past shows. I've got one.
Okay.
Going Bill Buckner.
Ooh. Love.
I think that there is something about the burden of association of story of how people understand you and what they miss about the journey. It's a very, very different example, but if you enjoy the Tina Turner episode, you might enjoy the Bill Buckner episode.
Yeah, and we're entering, World Series time. It's an interesting time to revisit the Bill Buckner.
Coming up, the 1986 Red Sox World Series. He's a baseball player.
Yes. So mine is, and I know this was just 4 or 5 episodes ago, but Johnny Cash and the big pivot.
Yeah.
The big pivot that he experienced inside.
Yeah.
I see a lot of it with Tina. I love pairing Johnny Cash with Tina Turner.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes.
It's really good. All right. Here's a little teaser for the next episode of Famous and Gravy. In the 1970s, he moved to New York to study dance, becoming a member of the Elliott Feld Ballet.
Is Gregory Hines still alive? I think he's dead. Gregory Hines.
I think we lost Gregory Hines some years ago.
Famous and Gravy listeners, we love hearing from you. If you want to reach out with a comment, question, or to participate in our opening quiz, please email us at hello@famousandgravy.com. In our show notes, we include all kinds of links, including to our website and social channels. Famous and Gravy is created and co-hosted by Michael Osborne and me, Amit Kapoor. This episode was produced by Megan Palmer and original music by Kevin Strang. Thanks, and see you next time.
Follow Famous and Gravy on the Wondery app. You can listen to more episodes early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.